Okay, we're going to start. Today is May 28, 2014, and we are interviewing Ambrose Meyer at the Illinois Veterans Home, Quincy, Illinois. Ambrose is 86 years of age, having been born on April 29, 1928. My name is Tracy Allgilbers, and I'll be the interviewer.
Okay.
Ambrose, could you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
I served in during the Korean War. I served 2 years in the Army. Yeah, well, what you want?
Yes.
In the Army.
Okay.
In Germany.
And as
18 months in Germany.
As we're going along, feel free to expand on any of this, okay?
Do what?
As we're going along, feel free to expand on any of the questions that I asked.
Okay.
Okay. What was your rank?
Corporal.
Where did you serve?
In the unit, you mean, and everything?
Yes.
28th Infantry Division, 108th Field Artillery Battalion in Germany.
While you were in Germany, did you get immersed in the culture and take part and explore that area?
In what area?
When you were in Germany,
Yeah.
did you get involved with the culture there and explore that area while you were there?
Nothing in that way, no.
Okay. Did you bring any souvenirs or mementos back with you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not in the mountain, but yeah.
What was your job or assignment while you were in the service?
I was a field wireman, field wireman in artillery battalion.
And so what does that mean?
We, communications, the guns, you had 6 guns, our battery. I was in a battery.
Mm-hmm.
And battalion, you have 3 batteries, but I did a battery. And they had 6 guns, artillery guns, big one, 155s. They'd fire 9-10 miles, 9 miles, effective range, I think. And I was a wireman at everything. They had radios, but they had wire for secrecy. What they did, so we was out in Germany, close to the border, and like that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and for secrecy we used wire. Yeah, and I was a wireman. You hook up wired telephones to every unit, every installation had the guns. Each gun had a telephone, and fire direction center had a telephone, and exec post had a telephone. They all wire communications.
Okay.
They had radio, but wire, they used wire, like I said, for secrecy. They used wire.
Okay. Did you see combat while you were in the service?
No, I did not see combat.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Can you share any battle planning with us?
There was no what do you mean battle planning? There wasn't really no planning on it because we wasn't that close.
You weren't that close to war?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
How did you get along with the officers and fellow soldiers?
Real good, I'd say. It's real good.
Okay. Did you feel any pressure, stress, or anxiety?
Well, not out of the ordinary, I don't think. You want to get it over and get back out. No, I don't think there was. No, I didn't have no problem over any kind.
Okay. Did you keep a personal diary?
No.
Can you tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences while you were there?
Memorable experiences. Well, I don't know what I could tell you. When I was over there, I don't know what I would say.
Okay.
Maybe if everything went smooth, and I don't know what.
Nothing sticks out?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Were you able to stay in touch with your family?
Yeah, I wrote home, come all the time.
Okay.
And if I called by the telephone, I don't know. If I don't think I did. My dad was sick, but then I don't know if they called me by phone. I think they just wrote to me, I think.
By letters?
Yeah.
Okay.
All these letters.
Did you do or have something special for good luck?
No.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Yeah.
And how was the food?
Real good. That's real good. I never did complain about the food.
What kind of food did you have?
Well, what kind? It was good food.
It was good food?
Mhm.
Okay. How did you entertain yourself?
Entertainment, we went to movies. Me and my buddy and a couple of other guys that we didn't go to, a lot of them would go to town and they'd come home drunk and drink vodka and everything, you know. Well, we didn't go to town. We went up to the movies. We watched all the new movies that come on, and then they had a club, beer club, you know, a club for us. We'd sit up there and had our beer and we talk and all. And like that, instead of going to town, we just stayed on post, and that's what I did. I didn't go to town.
Okay.
Not
Were there any entertainers that came to see your units? Any celebrities or entertainers, USO groups or Bob Hope? Or
there was some in there, but I can't tell you their names no more. I don't believe. Yeah, there was. We did have somebody in there a time or two, but I couldn't. I can't draw that up.
And you
right
went
now.
to them?
Do what?
You went to them when they were there?
They come to our club up
Come to your
there.
club?
Yeah. But I don't know just what it was anymore. The USO, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
What did you do when you were on leave?
On leave, I went to see. We went to Paris one time, and me and another guy, and then we went up to Amsterdam. We was up there for a few days, and then we went back home. Then another next leave, I went by myself. The rest of them, there was a whole bunch going together, and then I couldn't. They couldn't let everybody go. They said they had to keep a corporal there, so to train new troops coming in. So I went after it by myself. I went by myself down to Garmisch, and that's Army resort down there, or resort area, Garmisch and I can't think of their name. Garmisch, Germany. Anyway, I went down into Switzerland on tours. So I went by myself.
Did you travel while you were in the service?
Just on them leaves is all.
Where did you travel to?
Where I traveled to? When I went down there went on leave on leave. We went to France, Paris, and then we went up to Amsterdam. And we come back home. And then when I went by myself, we went down to Garmisch. I stayed in Germany. And I crossed into Switzerland on the mountain climbing, mountain tours. But I went into Switzerland, but down into southeast Germany. I took my leave down there by myself.
Okay. Do you recall any particular humorous or unusual event?
No, not that I know of.
What were some of the pranks that you or others would pull?
Pranks?
Pranks.
Well, I try not to put no pranks on anybody. You mean just in the army, in the barracks, is that way, or something like that? Oh, see what would be sleeping of a night or something like that. We would, I don't know. I can't recall. I never was in on any of them, but what did we pull? Let's see. And we set somebody dead up on soda bottles or not, you know. They get in bed and shake them and down. I don't know if we did that. I'd heard them talk about that, but I know we didn't pull any great big pranks on anybody. I don't think too much that way. We just didn't do that.
Okay. Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yeah, 15th. Well, my service ended when I got my discharge.
Right.
I was home for. I didn't come. See, I went in the Army from 52 to 54, and I was in the Army until 60. August 15, 60, when I got out of the Army, when I was discharged. I was from induction to discharge was 8 years, but I only had 2 years active duty, and the rest was I was in ready reserves and standby reserves. Here, I didn't go to no meeting. Didn't have to go to no meetings, but I was in the reserves for, well, I guess just about all that time. After I got home, 6 years, 8 years. I think about 6 years I was in the reserves, or until I got out. All the time until I got discharged.
So when you were discharged, you had fulfilled your military service. Is that right?
Right. That was 8 years. I think it was an 8-year military obligation. I think it was 8-year military. Let's see, would that be right? Yeah, 60. 60 is when I got my discharge. Then I fulfilled the 8-year military obligation.
Okay.
2 years active and others in reserves.
Were others discharged with you?
Yeah, they had a group of names, but I don't know if I got the papers anymore or not, but were discharged with me.
Mm-hmm.
I might have that at home yet. I don't know for sure, but yeah, they sent me a list of, you know, the orders that we discharged and like that. There was some names, yeah.
That you recognized?
Oh, I don't know if I recognized them or not. They wasn't all from here. Some Chicago.
Okay.
And they wasn't just all from Quincy. There's a few of them, I think, from Quincy.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterward, once you were discharged?
After I discharged, I worked on a, let's see, I guess the first job I had was, first job I worked on for the apple orchard. I helped out that fall. I got home in August and I helped in the fall, during the fall months in the apple orchard. And then I started electric wheel in about February. I think I started
where? Electric wheel.
Electric wheel. I worked in electric wheel for 55 when I started there, and I guess I worked at electric wheel, and then afterwards I also worked at Brower Manufacturing. I worked there, and well, that's about the two places I worked, I guess. And then I did do farm work, help out with on the farm, just helped out.
Did you go back to school at all, or use your GI Bill to get any type of education?
No, I did not.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service? And if so, did you continue with any of those relationships once you got out?
No, well, me and the guy was pretty good friends in there. He stepped in the upper bunk and I stepped in the lower bar. Well, we was together, one step in the upper bunk and lower bunk, and we were pretty good friends there. We never did go on leave together, but we were pretty good friends. We always go to the club of the night and together and like that. We was together when we was there. But
were there any reunions between the servicemen that you served with afterwards?
No, we never did have no reunion.
Did you join a veterans organization once you got out of the service?
I belonged to American Legion in the VFW. They put me in VFW before I left over there in Germany. They took our names and what we were. The VFW was in Quincy. I told them Quincy, you know, they wanted to know what city. And Quincy, I was in there before I left Germany in VFW. I don't know why they did that, but they did. And when after I got home, I was home a while, then I joined the American Legion too. But I've been in VFW ever since, American Legion, both of them. Why they did that, I never did know why they did that.
You never found out why?
Why they would do that to put me in the, register me in the VFW before I ever left over there. I don't know why they did that. The whole works, you know, the whole bunch that was coming home and did that too. I don't know why they did it, but that's what they did.
How has your service and experiences affected your life?
Well, I think it bettered me. I learned things, and it got a better knowledge of other people, you know, and like that. And I learned from them, I think, and it just, I think it bettered me. I mean, it was a plus that being with them, you know. Got to know other men, you know, as long as I've been there with them.
Has anyone ever thanked you for serving your country, and if so, how did it make you feel?
Well, I don't know, it made me feel pretty good if anybody did. No, I don't know if I ever got a letter from the VFW or American Legion. I don't know. I don't recall that I did, but I might have. I don't know.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or military in general?
Oh, yeah, I got a lot lot better knowledge of the military than I had before, and well, if they talk about war now anymore, I don't know if they'd ever call me up anymore. I'm getting to a much age, but it give me a knowledge of what they talked about in war. You know something about it. I don't know. It better be. I think I'm thinking of the Army. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what the Army was, what they whenever I was in combat, I don't know. Well, I don't know what you put for that.
That's fine. Would you encourage young men and women to enlist today?
Well, I don't know what to say on that. Probably better just let them draft you or call you, maybe. I don't know.
Is your view of government the same before and after your years of service?
Well, I don't know if it affected me any that way. I probably got a better view of the thinking of the government than I had before, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think it didn't make me down on anybody, that's for sure. But I think it better my thinking of the government.
Okay. How do you feel about how war is depicted in movies?
War depicted in movies?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw a whole lot, but I never was in war. But to me, that's a lot of making up. A lot of in movies.
What is your opinion of war/history taught in school today?
I don't know what's taught in school today.
Okay. What is the most positive thing you took away from your experience in the service?
The positive thing?
Mm-hmm.
That I learned from it?
That you learned from it.
Well, to not get upset over everything. I was over there, and we could get called, into combat any time. From the time we got over there until we left, we could, any time of night or anything, we could get on a call and we'd be heading for the border. If they'd have been come across the border or something like that, we could get called. And I know we was in a top-notch unit, and we'd be one of the first ones to be called. And we lived like that. And first when I got over there, I thought, oh my gosh, but you get used to it, and you just did everyday life. That you could get called and go into combat.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a thing that you lived with, just lived with it. And my gosh, I know we talked about it. We could be in combat before we got up in the morning. When I got up in the morning, before that. But then they had alerts. We'd get called out in the middle of the night, maybe, or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, or maybe we'd be in the day of practice alerts. We'd have a little oil equipment up and everything on the trucks, and everybody would pull out and go out off the base on this little ways, and then we'd sit there for maybe an hour, and we'd go back in again, But just alerts that if they would invade. And I think we would be along the river there, not too far from where we were. But we'd be on alert to practice alert, and we'd all have to get out. And maybe it could be any time of night or any time, and we'd just go out off of a base in a little ways, and we'd sit here and wait maybe an hour or two, and then an hour. Then we'd go back in again, unload our equipment again, and go back to work. And just practice alerts like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we never did have a real alert that we had to go to the border. We had it that way, to have a real thing. But we had things like that.
What is the most negative thing you took away from being in the service?
Negative? Do you think something is taken away from me?
While you're in the service and you came, was there a negative, something within the service that?
I wouldn't want to say anything that there
Okay.
was anything. I don't believe there was.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think so.
This is my last question. Is there anything you'd like to add to the interview or say
No,
to the
I
people
don't.
out there that will see your interview?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't know what it is.
All right. Well, that concludes.
But, I just took things as they come. When I went to the Army, I just took it the way it come, and that just did what they wanted me to do, and that was it. I mean, I didn't. We did have, when I was in the service, my guy with me all the time. They worked for, when it was in court, I think he said 4 months before trying to keep him out, you know. He was from Springfield, Massachusetts, and his dad had a produce chain and stores, you know, first chain, and he didn't want no part of being in the Army, and they tried to keep him out. I don't know how many months he said that they went to 4 months or so. He was in court and fighting it, but they couldn't win out, and he had to come in. And he had his mind made up that he wasn't going to do anything. By guys that they're aggravating a little bit, but he got over it pretty much. But he was, but and he was a good guy. But it was just that way, you know. They didn't want him in his service, and he didn't want to be in there. But he did all right. He didn't do anything bad or nothing like that. But me and him had a good. He stepped in the upper bunk and I stepped in the lower bunk, and we just got along real good, you know. We'd go up to we did go into town. We didn't go to town and mess around. We went up to the service club, or we had a club upstairs, the men, you know. And we had our beer up there, and they had orchestra up there and everything. And we stayed there and decided not to go to town. A lot of them did, and they get messed up and get in trouble, you know, and everything else. We didn't. We were getting fights in town, so that's the main reason I didn't want to go in, because they get in fights and they just tear things up, buildings up, you know, and it get bad. And I stayed home. I mean, we just went up to the club, and we'd go to a movie, then we'd go up there and drink a few beers and go back to barracks again. And of course, they had higher strength beer than we had over here, you know, stronger beer and bigger bottles, and we'd take 2 or 3 bottles of beer and go back and go to bed, you know. And we lived that way. We didn't go to town. So we just made it better that way. So we better just well off and stay away from them, because they get in fights and everything else. You'd probably get involved in a fight or something, you know. So then they had a courtesy patrol jeep. They'd go, 2 men would go, sergeant and another one. They'd go into town and they'd go around these. Somebody get pretty well loaded or something. They'd too well loaded. They'd get them in that jeep and bring them on in, you know. So they'd get in trouble.
Right.
Courtesy patrol. They run that, but I wasn't in town, and I stayed home most of the time. I just go up to the club, beer hall, and go to a movie. We had a habit. We'd go to the movie when a new movie on, and we'd go to the new movie, and that played a couple of nights, you know. And we'd go to a movie, and then we'd go up and drink beer. But when the same movie was on, then we just go up to the club. But we just had a good time that way, you know. There was a bunch of guys up there. We'd go up there. But we'd have to, most of the time we just did that way. We didn't go into town. Because there's too much getting into trouble, you know. It just and I was in there enough to know what had come about. If you get in there and place in you. Well, the thing was too, we had another unit, a different unit was close by. They'd all get up on a hill, a pretty steep hill, or a big hill go up there. They was up on top of the hill and we was below the hill. And then we'd go out we'd go 120 miles to the training area out close to the border. We lived about 120 miles from the border. And we go out close to the border out there, and then be out there maybe a month or 6 weeks or whatever. We'd artillery fire, and we'd artillery range out there. We'd fire, you know, and do our work, you know, like in combat. And the other unit would stay back. One of them guys had girlfriends, and when they come back, then the other guys have their girlfriends. And then 2 units didn't get along. They didn't go along over that, you know. They one hated the others, you know. But he made it fairly good. But they'd get into fights in town, you know. There would be fights and they'd get into it. And I just figured this way, you go down there and sit around and drink beer with them, and then they'd come in and I did see them come in a place, and they looked like they were just ready to tear somebody apart, you know, and you get drug into it and everything like that, so I just stayed away from it. There's a bunch of those guys, six or eight guys that we did the same thing. We just go up to the club and go to a movie and go up to the club and stayed away from town. For that reason, I stayed away. I guess it wasn't very, very safe to go down there. I mean, you could get drawn into it, and I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
So I stayed away. But no, there's some bad fights down there. Bad fights, they said. I didn't see them. I guess they would get some bad ones.
Okay, anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we appreciate your time.
That's all
we
right.
Appreciate your service.
That's all right. But it just one of them things over there, that unit, you know, was too close together, and you know, and one would be out in the field, the other unit would be in there, and they'd take the women out. And then, you know what that was when they come back in. and they'd get into fights, and well, I managed to stay out of them. And one night I was just halfway into it with them, but I wasn't just with the men, you know. I just learned to stay away from it. Just stayed out of them places. And I didn't have no problem with them.
Okay.
I knew one of them from around here that was in the other unit, and you'll say the same thing, I'm sure, that I didn't hang around downtown. I stayed in at the camp and the beer club. I stayed there. He was up there too.
All righty, Ambrose. Thank you.
Yeah.